respected dignitaries, may I request Mr. Ashok Kumar, retired Special Secretary, Government of India and Director General, NMGC, to please come on the dais. In addition, may I please request the confirmed panelist, Mr. Sunny Guglani, sir, Head of Airbus Helicopters, India and South Asia, Mr. Harshvardhan Sharma, Director, Himalayan Heli, Air Marshal Arvinder Singh Butola, President, RWSI, Mr. Rohit Mathur, Founder and CEO, Heritage Aviation P Limited, Mr. Siddharth Shankaran, CEO, Trans Bharat Aviation, Shri GVG Yugandhar, Director General, Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, AAIB, Mr. CV Deepak, Executive Director, RCS, Airport Authority of India. A very good morning to all the panelists. May I request Ashok sir to please start the session? Thank you so much, sir. Good morning, gentlemen and gentlewomen. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Am I audible? Welcome all of you to the city of Hyderabad, a city which had been hosting this aviation show from 2008 onwards. It was India Aviation at that time. Now it's Wings India. And please come.
May I also request Sri Muridhara, PS Chief Designer, RWRDC, HAL, to please come on the dais.
And my association, I would like to welcome you to Hyderabad because my association with the city is also very close because I had at that time 2002 City Truck, which has become one of the big USP of Hyderabad. Today, helicopters, though not in the forefront in Indian aviation sector, probably we are taking off first in the India Aviation, India Wings India, because this is one of the first sessions happening. I have a very elite, informed panels with us. We have Mr. Sunny Guglani, Head of Airbus Helicopters, India and South Asia. Mr. Air Marshal Arvinder Singh Butola, President of RWSI. Harshvardhan Sharma, Director, Himalayan Heli. Yugandhar, Director General, AIB. Mr. Deepak, Executive Director, AI. Then Muridhara, Chief Designer, RWRDC, HAL. Rohit Mathur from CEO, Heritage Aviation Private Limited. And Mr. Siddharth Shankaran, CEO of Trans Bharat Aviation. Have I left out anybody? I think all I yes. Okay. Aviation, I'll take, since we have about 9 people, stalwarts, and be added to that, that's about 10 people to speak. About each will be getting about 5 minutes because our session is for 1 hour. So we would request the speakers to speak for 5 minutes maximum, and then we can give some time for question answer session. Let me take my first 3-4 minutes. My association with MOCA had been, I worked as Joint Secretary earlier in 2011 to 16 and was instrumental in setting up the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, then EGCA, many of the security features you find, the e-boarding, etc. was done at that time. Helicopter is a very versatile machine which can stand still. No fixed wing aircraft can do that, so we are very proud of that. A helicopter can stand still, it can move forward, backwards, and needless to say, it doesn't require much space for landing and takeoff. The travel may not be that comfortable as in a fixed wing aircraft, but it is a great lifesaver, used extensively in many countries, particularly US, for relief and rescue, law enforcement, leisure, VIP movement, and India, particularly for elections, helicopters are one of the most important part of the elections. And in military operations also, many of you know, the latest evacuation from Caracas. It was the Operation Absolute Resolve, where the president of a country was picked up by in an helicopter. So helicopters are that dangerous. It is also very active in relief and rescue operations. In India, many places in floods and all, we have deployed a lot of helicopters. Recently in Sri Lanka, in Operation Sagar Bandhu, when the cyclone hit, they also had a lot of help from Indian helicopter segment. So, Indian helicopter sector, though started in 1954, 1953, over the last 70 years, 72 years, it has not grown as much as it should have. Very sad, because with a country of so much of diversity, hills, mountains, terrains, very remote places where accessibility is not there, then very limited infrastructure for airports, 120, 140 airports. Helicopter should have played a vital role, but somehow it did not pick up. The fleet strength, just to keep put in perspective, used to be 118 in 2001, peaked to about 294 in 2011-12, when luckily I was the joint secretary at that time. We used to have regular meetings with RWSY at that time, and went down to about 237, and now we have about 280 hovering around that time. So there's a lot to be done, can be done in the aviation sector, particularly in the helicopter sector. We have not explored the potential of helicopter, partly because of the, maybe I should say political reasons, because aviation as such was considered as a very elitist mode of transfer, and so not much support was seen. I remember talking to the finance minister at that time. They said that we can't put too much of tax reduction in helicopter and aviation sector, because this is considered to be elitist, so we have to be a socialist frame of mind. But over the years, maybe last 10 years, aviation as a growth engine has been recognized, and the Udaan had come in, and the statement of people in Hawaii Chapel should transfer has really taken off in the fixed wing segment, the scheduled airline segment. Our passengers have grown up, but not much in the helicopter segment. In the last couple of years, we also had, unfortunately, some accidents also. Last year we had 4 accidents, and today, unfortunately, was another accident. But the helicopter segment had 4 accidents last year, and that also probably a little bit of fear in the mind of people. So we'll discuss all about that. But then since we have a very diverse panelists with us, operators from the operator association, from manufacturers, etc. I will start out with the operators first, so that is slightly the gloomy part of it. Then we'll come over to the aviation manufacturers, because that is going to be the biggest segment and the light at the end of the tunnel. So we should end up with a positive note with the plans for the various players like Airbus and all. How are they going to make India self-reliant in helicopters, and how we will be a manufacturing base for others. So let me start off with airport, the RWSI. Before that, I will request Mr. Gaglani to speak 2 minutes on a global perspective, because we, as the largest, fastest growing economy, what is the worldwide appreciation of the possibility of aviation growth in segment? And I'll come back to him with the manufacturer side later on. So first, let me ask him for 2 minutes, a global perspective on how India stands now and what is the potential for growth.
Well, thank you so much, sir. So, I mean, of course, globally, aviation plays a big role in connecting people and boosting trade and commerce. And if you look at helicopters as well, so I'll restrict my remarks to helicopters, not fixed-wing aviation. You mentioned it, right? If you look at countries like, I mean, North America, of course, it's in a different league, you know, at the number of helicopters that they use. But even if you look at the global south, right? You look at Brazil, you look at Australia, you look at New Zealand, right? There are many more helicopters that are flying. I always give the example, I come from Chandigarh. New Zealand, I think, I mean, in terms of size, I mean, if I'm not wrong, is not bigger than my state of Punjab, you know? But that one country of New Zealand has 500 helicopters, almost double that we as a country have, you know. And I remember 2 years ago, we were doing a summit in the Northeast, okay, the 7 sister states. The 7 sister states combined, civil and parapublic helicopters, I'm not talking about military, they have less number of helicopters than Pune has as a city. You know, so, I mean, this is the contrast that we have. If you look at our country, geographically speaking, the kind of diversity that we have geographically, you know, mountains, hilly areas, you know, coastal areas, we have, you know, we face disasters. I mean, it's a country meant for helicopters. Now, you know, I have also reflected a lot on this question that you asked. How come helicopter aviation did not take off? Right? Why is it lagging behind so much? And of course, there are many technical reasons, there are operational reasons as well. But I think it starts first and foremost from the mindset.
Just 1 second. We'll come to that part later. Can you look at how is world looking at India today? That's what I was thinking.
Okay, from that perspective, how is world looking at India today? Obviously, I mean, the sky is the limit for us. As a country, we are growing so much. We did an analysis that, you know, we are going to be the 3rd largest economy. But if you look at the number of aircraft and helicopters that we have, we are probably like 13th or 14th, you know, I mean, so there is a mismatch, and that represents the growth opportunity between our ambition and where we are in terms of aviation. And of course, I mean, globally we've seen aviation plays a big multiplier impact on the economy. So I think from that perspective, if you look at Airbus, for us, India is the next frontier. And that explains the footprint, you know, the manufacturing footprint, et cetera, that we're setting up in India, both from a connectivity perspective, people need these services, but also from a manufacturing and a services perspective, because there is local talent that can be leveraged and, you know, become a part of our value chain. So I would leave it at that.
Thank you, Glennie. I'll start off with the Association of the Helicopter Operators. Rotary Wing Society of India had been doing a wonderful service for the development of the aviation sector, and particularly I would like to thank and remember Air Vice Marshal Krishnaswamy Sridhar, who had been a front man in taking up many of the issues repeatedly again and again. He had found out this RSA, and now it is headed by Air Marshal Batola. So can you tell us what are the major issues which you as an organization feel that had hindered the growth of helicopters in India?
So I thought I'll come here and speak. It's good to see all familiar faces, our colleagues, and good representation today. Thank you, sir, for giving me an opportunity. Could I introduce RWSI first?
But do that in 6-7 minutes.
Yeah, there's just about 2 lines. Rotary Wing Society of India, as we are known, is a not-for-profit, non-commercial organization. It's focused primarily on improving the efficiency of helicopter operations in India and ensuring safe operations. Just for information, it was formed by retired veterans who had served in the armed forces, thereafter flew in the civil industry, and that is the core group which runs this organization. And every individual has got more than 4 decades of experience behind him. I served about 39 years in the Air Force, and now for the last about 5 years, I've been there with Rotary Wing Society. We have international partnership with VI, with VFS, with VAST. We are also a member of International Federation of Helicopter Associations and have a observer status in ICAO. So like you said, helicopter industry has definitely had a stunted growth. Initially, like you said, we went from 178 to 294, good growth in a decade from 2000, 2001 to 2012. But thereafter, the reasons I think we can leave aside. There was a drastic decline from 294 down to 234, 237. Fortunately, last 2.5 years has seen a good growth. Today we are at about 291 if we include the private category and the government helicopters held. Otherwise, if you talk about only non-scheduled operators, there are about 220, 222. That's all. You also made a mention of absolute resolve. I think whole world saw what a helicopter can do at night. And that's why we have been saying, exploit the machine. It is a very, very versatile machine. You need to understand that. We are restricted here in India. Neither you can fly at night properly. You can't fly IFR operations. There are several operations you cannot fly. And reason is, at times, maybe the governing regulations are not adequate to permit you to fly efficiently there. And most important is, like in last about a decade or so, we have gone from, say, 45, 50 airports to about 140, and most of them are global standards, and we are proud of them. But there we have missed out. The helicopter industry has got a stepbrotherly treatment. Not a single addition has been done to helicopter infrastructure in the country. We don't have helicopter corridors. We don't have any navigation facilities. You don't have any communication facilities. You don't have a single FTO, one FTO open, but I don't know how much have they been successful. So if you see, we need definitely to invest in capability building of helicopter industry. Otherwise, we'll stay here hovering around, like you made a mention, North America. USA itself has got almost 10,000 civil registered helicopters. Sao Paulo, people talk, have got equivalent to what we have in the entire country. So what we need to do is actually from within, we need to reform how we look at it, how we address the situation. And I see a lot of professionals here who can contribute and change the system. Most important, MOCA, DGCA, Airport Authority. Somehow Airport Authority is left out most of the times, but majority of effort has to come from Airport Authority if helicopter infrastructure has to come up. So like a small thing like night casualty from offshore, ONGC from offshore platforms. That is a major thing for you take from the point of view of person who's going to be evacuated or his relatives. It's a big thing. But the regulations bind you so hard, at times it becomes very difficult. Even if like you bypass the rule, you get the casualty from offshore rig, you are forced to land at Santa Cruz. You cannot land at Juhu because AAI says, no, sorry, you cannot land there. Where you see across the world, 24/7 night operation, IFR operation going on, we are refusing to look beyond a certain point to reform our operation. I request the authorities to do that.
But one intimate, see, the civil aviation policy of 2016, para 16, had given certain guidelines for the Ministry of Civil Aviation to open up the aviation sector. And I think Airport Authority has also reduced a lot of charges, landing charges and all these things they have reduced. Right? They'll come, Airport Authority.
I agree with you. So, but if you say line by line, para 16 of National Civil Aviation Policy, you yourself get an answer what has been done, what has not been done, sir. Most of things have not been actions. So, actually, a big achievement which we could have had, and we as RWSI can take at least 5% credit. We requested, previous secretary has been very, very kindful, and the present Honorable Minister was very positive because of that. He accepted to form a separate helicopter directorate.
But this was sanctioned in 2013.
No, it was not, so it was sanctioned in March 2025, sir.
That was the directorate, the cell.
It was, sir, it was. In fact, all those points, if you see in the National Civil Aviation Policy, para 16, in fact, I don't know whether I have it here. If we do that, 90% of the problem of the industries will be addressed. But if you address it superficially, the basic problem remains. The problem is there is a communication gap between the bottom and the top, field and the regulator. The regulator says, I've done the job, but on the ground, things have not happened. We need to have some link, and I've been always saying, please establish a formal communication line between the operator and the regulator so that you understand what is happening there. About from 2021 to 2023, we used to have quarterly meetings in MOCA, in DGCA. Over a period of time, they have died.
No, we'll come back. No, I remember because 2012 we used to have 15 days meeting. Every fortnightly meetings we had, almost 6 months. Anyway, it's all right. So there was a regulatory gap which is there in paper but not implemented. I hope the Ministry of Civil Aviation is listening to it. The industry, right, I remember almost 20 years had been crying it out that operator and the regulator has to work together. Some of that was not happening. Partly because of the airport authority, they are interested in more money because the airport authority would not like to have slow-moving aircrafts coming into the aircrafts because it will affect their landing slots. And let me tell you, because I have seen that, landing slots are very priced commodity, and if a smaller, slow-moving aircraft comes in, they don't want to block those movements.
So there is a solution to that, which is being followed on all international airports, whether you take in USA, you take in UK, all across Europe. What you need to do is deconflict fixed wing and rotary wing traffic. That's all is required. If you want helicopter to follow the rules and traffic procedure of a Airbus, you are bound to have problem. The solution is you deconflict.
That's the point.
Like on an expressway, you have stopped the bullock carts and your scooters.
This is a point, because I am told that one of the major issue of the regulation in India is that the fixed wing operations guidelines are applied to the rotary wing segment. That is a problem, I think.
Here I would like to
So this
update
is one. In addition, we are talking about airfields. What about remote areas where helicopters are operating? You require infrastructure there.
sir.
No one is ready to invest.
I will
there.
update about it, sir. About 2 days back, we had a meeting with DGCA. Indian Air Force Assistant Chief of Air Staff Operations Transport and Helicopter came, and we have proposed a point in space concept where the highway in the sky, especially for separate helicopter operation, is going to be opened up.
Very good.
So this will ease out all these things. That's why I have intervened in between.
Very
sir.
good. Very
Yeah.
good.
By the way, this was proposed by us both to
Yes,
DGCA and Air Force.
This
Air
was-
Force accepted it, DGCA did not, sir. And we are in touch with Air
These are
Force.
all- you see the file, 2012 onwards is written. Finally it is done, I'm happy, but we have been discussing that. Okay, good.
I think I've taken more time, but only one
One
point
more
I'll
point.
cover, sir. Basically, accidents. We said there's a high rate of accidents. And as a result, what happens? Helicopter has been perceived as a very unsafe machine, which is not true. Today's helicopters are very safe. There are no issues with that. The problem is you need to support that machine. Same way, infrastructure, regulations.
Thank
and
you.
I'll come to one more, sir,
Fine.
because
Fast.
we need to collect data, whatever accidents we have, although DGAIB is doing that, we need to analyze them. The trend line should be drawn from there to take policy decisions, which normally does not happen. All decisions are knee-jerk reaction to a particular accident, which should not be done. It should be well analyzed from the trend lines established. And if you see most of the places where say pilot error, actually it is not a pilot error. Most of the accidents, if you trace them back, it points down to regulation or infrastructure.
Okay, thank you, thanks a lot. So before we go into the regulator first, I would request another chief operator side from the Mr. Harshvardhan Sharma from Himalayan Helicopter. Please. They have about 7 helicopters with them, and they have been operating in the Chardham area. One of the areas where a lot of accidents happen. The Chardham, Uttarakhand area, in the last year also 4 accidents happened there.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen and fellow panelists. The last year was quite a significant year for the expansion, from the expansion point of view, for the helicopter segment. Approximately 35 helicopters were inducted in 2005. And looking at the current size of the Indian helicopter segment, now it comprises of approximately 60 NSOP operators with approximately 225 helicopters. This is approximate figures. However, it is also important to note that out of these 35 helicopters were inducted, around, in my personal assessment, around 30% were a replacement for the old helicopters. And it was a mix of twin engine and single engine. Now, I just would like to highlight the potential contributions the helicopter segment can make in our growing economy, and that can be defined as, though I will outline, but I won't go into great detail. The UDAN scheme currently, most of the Himalayan states are seriously lacking. The remote connectivity or the last mile connectivity starting from Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, northeastern states. The Ministry of Civil Aviation launched UDAN scheme in 2016, though it's making great efforts to address the issues, but the progress had been very slow. Because the present NSOP operators who have experience to operate in such terrains are finding it difficult to meet the demand and the requirements to augment their fleet, shortage of pilots, and AMEs. The much required EMS medical service has been talked about a lot. Third is that disaster relief measures are very crucial for the Himalayas. During the monsoon months, we have seen in the last 15 years, the demand of helicopters has increased by many-fold by the state government in the affected areas to rescue people and provide relief material to those stranded. Again, the demand by the state government has not been served adequately. Thank you. The demand of helicopter applications has been growing at a steady pace. The construction of ropeways, power line, airborne geophysical mapping surveys, unfortunately, the demand for helicopters has not been met suitably, and there is no option but to currently source foreign-resistant aircrafts with the trained crew on the wet list to operate under NSOP permits. The air maintenance requirements by the defense establishments and the paramilitary forces to carry personnel, machinery, and material are floated regularly for helicopters, but those requirements have not been fully met by the NSOP operators due to lack of fleet strength. As we see that the helicopter segment is poised for exponential growth, but remains largely untapped due to significant challenges faced by the industry. So let's identify those challenges. The major impediment is the high capital expenditure cost required for helicopter acquisition. As most of the helicopters are imported, the cost of procurement is holding back the growth. It's high time that India needs to develop its own financial leasing ecosystem. Our dependence on offshore leasing companies is making the business model seriously unsustainable. The Banking Regulation Act needs to be amended so that the Indian banks can facilitate financial lease options. This step will not only bring the indirect operating costs considerably down, but will also help in bargaining better costs with the aircraft and engine manufacturers. The IFCA needs to work in more collaborative way with the trade and regulatory authorities. Second, the importation cost. The long pending appeal by the NSOP operators of abolition of 2.5% import duty that was imposed in 2008 has proved beyond doubt that it is the first major impediment in acquisition of an aircraft. It is a substantial financial cost imposed on a capital good. The feasibility of the helicopter segment depends on affordable acquisition, just as in the case with commercial scheduled airlines, who pay zero import duty. Indirect taxes. Even after 6 years of the introduction of GST regime, there remains a confusion in the basic understanding of the provisions. And the operators, those who are operating in serving the pilgrimage tourism sectors, are regularly facing illogical, high-pitched demands by the respective state government GST departments.
I think you should pray to the God. You're operating in the pilgrim area.
So it's nightmarish for most of the operators, you know. ATF must be brought under GST purview to provide uniformity across the India. The remote connectivity regions must be defined as respective states and be allowed to operate by the NSOP regulatory framework. It needs to operate separately and not under RCS, which is very restrictive and unnecessary from the regulatory point of view, if applied in the development of remote connectivity. Regulatory challenges. The regulatory framework for general aviation in India faces several challenges, such as classification of air transport operations, the existing classification of air transportation into scheduled airlines, scheduled commuter airlines, non-scheduled operations, and non-commercial operations hampers proportionate safety regulations. A more nuanced classification should be considered as in EASA, such as operation type, aircraft size, and complexity, airspace usage, infrastructure, and cost-benefit analysis. Training and licensing alignment. Pilot licensing requirements in India should align closely with ICAO Annex 1, emphasizing class-related licenses over type-related licenses. Ground handling aeronautical charges, the general aviation and business aviation sectors encounter disadvantage due to higher ground handling maintenance hangarage charges imposed by airport operators. Rationalizing these charges is crucial for the sustainability of the industry. The retirement age of pilots in single pilot operations should be revised to 65 years. This would greatly help in solving the problem of pilot shortage. To conclude, the recent steps taken by the DGSU to form a dedicated helicopter directorate is a step in the very right direction. There is no doubt that if the issues that helicopter segment is facing are addressed effectively, it would grow exponentially and contribute immensely to the growing Indian economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashwinji. He had made very vital points, actually, many of the regulatory frameworks which he had mentioned. The cost of import of aircrafts is a very costly affair. I remember 2008, they had started the Committee for Aircraft Acquisition, which was actually subsequently abolished in 2013-14. But the taxes issue is a big issue, which Government of India, hope, will look into it. The gift city has now been taken up as a center for leasing of aircraft. So there, a lot of work is being done to get these facilities which the air companies give to the purchasers in Ireland. Those benefits are being considered to be taken up and given in the gift city, so that would help in reducing the tariffs. There are other regulations, as you mentioned, the fixed wing regulations being made applicable to the rotary wing aircrafts is one major hurdle, and the and also there are issues about the pilots training and all, which RWC is addressing. Before the accidents he mentioned, which are happening quite frequently, not quite frequently, maybe 4 or 5 a year. The international body has tried to reduce the accident rate in the world by 0.01 per 1 lakh flights. That's the target which they have mentioned. We are not reached there. So I, before going to the other operators, I will request the airport authority person, the officer from the airport authority ED, who is now bearing most of the blame for the non-growth of aviation helicopter sector in India, to take up, because they have now taken a lot of steps. I would request Mr. Deepak to tell about the steps airport authority has taken to help the aviation sector.
Good morning, everyone. As ED RCS from Airports Authority of India, I actually wear 2 hats. One, implementing the regional connectivity scheme of the Ministry of Civil Aviation. So that's actually bidding the routes for both the fixed wing as well as the helicopters. And on the other side, as an AI employee, I have to ensure those airports or heliports or helipads are ready. 64 airport or other heliports were identified from 2016, sir, heliports, of which only 15 have been operationalized. Okay. Multiple routes have been bid.
So why is it so? Why has it not been operationalized?
It's not operationalized because of multiple reasons. Because you have not got the land clearances, you're not got clearance from the state, though the bids have happened. You know? Similarly, on the routes, the operators themselves would have taken multiple routes, but it's not working. They would have bid for 10 routes and only 2 routes are flying. What's the reason? The asset is not here.
Okay.
So this is, and of course, it's compounded by all those multiple factors which both the the earlier speakers mentioned. I mean, it's just pilots, regulations. So as far as the ministry is concerned, I think you do not have a RCS scheme designed like this anywhere else in the world.
No, the latest circular of the DGCA, which came out in December 2025, they have done something for the airport operators to give some space for the helicopters. I think this has come out very recently in December. Are you aware of it?
No, sir, I'm really not aware
Are
of
you
that.
aware of that? There's some new circular which has come where the airport operators are supposed to give the locations for the helicopters also?
There is something like that, but it is not implemented.
That's what, it's all in paper, but that is probably just come out. So you can please follow it up.
Because for that, it's not only identifying the location, it's also laying down the basic, how you're going to regulate the traffic. And that's what I think, deconfigure traffic. Unless you do that, that separate area is of...
No, it is as per the international norms.
Yeah, correct.
Please go ahead.
So to continue from where I left, sir. So basically, the infrastructure is also being delayed on one side, and on the other side, the operators are also bidding for multiple routes, but not able to bring in their assets and start their operations as such. The ministry is actually coming out with its UDAN 2, and quite a lot of issues have been taken care of in UDAN 2 as such. The period is likely to be for a longer period. The viability gap funding would be on a tapered mechanism, but the final details of which I may not be able to share over here because we are waiting for the budget announcements. But I think quite a lot of those issues would be taken care. I mean, you mentioned about the helicopter aviation not coming up to the mark. I don't think it's just airports authority, sir.
No, I didn't say.
No. In the sense, it is the entire community which will have to take over, right from your fuel supply, right from your the state support for ensuring those clearances are given at the earliest, your regulatory clearances. I mean, ease of operating those helicopters, and of course your pilot training. Multiple factors are involved.
You made a very interesting point which no one else mentioned. Now, I used to feel that one of the major constraints was these security clearances. So I used to feel that many times the helicopter wanted to land in an unforced area, then they want to have so much of paraphernalia of the security clearance coming up, the clearance from police and all used to be a problem. So these are something which we have to address, and I remember those days where we had actually requested every state government to come up with one helicopter helipad in every district. And we had actually collected the coordinates. I don't know why it was not forwarded. Every state governments were asked, we had a civil aviation ministers conference twice, and they were asked to give the coordinates of the helipads in every district, and a specific SOP for getting clearances from the police and the other agencies were made. I don't know what happened to that. So this is one aspect of it, the infrastructure from the airport. But one point which the airport authority can look into is that allotment of slots. You have to have now I think the clearances from 3,000 feet has gone up to 5,000 feet for the helicopter operations. So the allocation of slots in metro airports have to be reasoned up for the helicopter operators, slow-moving operators. Okay.
Thank you,
Sir,
sir.
I have one more input on this. Like, there were a lot of instructions issued by MOCA, by airport authority. But the problem is at state level, because there are certain things which lie in the purview of state government, there at times it is either people are not aware of the policy, or they are somehow there, because not all states have the aviation directorates. So the problem is dissemination.
So I'm getting, it's almost 30 minutes now. Now we'll go to one of the important aspect of aviation industry, the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau. Mr. Uganda, DG is here. It is very interesting that we did not have, in India, we did not have a separate investigation bureau till 2012. It was part of DGCA, a very conflicting thing because the ICAO had been repeatedly pointing it out. Regulator DGCA cannot be an investigator. So that's how the AI came up. And I'm very happy that the RSW had been conducting a lot of training program for the pilots for improving their safety awareness and and the concern about the various things to be done for the aviation safety. Nevertheless, the accidents had been happening, but look at the number of accidents which were there in 2004 to 2015, about 43 or 46 happened. From 2015 to 2025, we are about 14 or 15. So the number of accidents have come down. So I request the DGAAB on what are the steps they have taken or the lessons learned from their previous investigations. I am told that out of the 243 odd inquiries they were interested upon, 206 investigations have been completed. But whether these investigations, the study of that, the results of it has been learned, accepted and getting implemented, or it's only another report which gets in the cupboard and lying there. Are we doing something to improve learning from the past mistakes, and are we going to achieve the standards the government, the World Organization has set up for 0.09 accidents of 1 million, 1 lakh flying hours?
Good afternoon. Basically, what sir has mentioned is, after formation of AIB in 2012, AIB has been doing more than 20 accident investigation every year, and 20 have been getting added. So that's how about 240 plus we have taken up for investigation, and 200 plus we have completed. And considering the safety of helicopter as a very important aspect, we have done a separate study in AIB. We compared the total accidents happened between 2012 to 2023 with the global accidents which happened in the offshore platforms when the helicopters are operated offshore. Because the challenges in Indian geographic conditions are as challenging as the offshore. Because we have hill flying, we have offshore flying also, and generally the helicopters are employed wherever the terrain is not conducible for traveling. So the number of accidents, if we compare with the global accidents, percentage wise they are similar, except one particular category where controlled flight into terrain is considered to be higher in case of Indian operators. The controlled flight into terrain is where the aircraft is serviceable and the pilot is trained, but still the aircraft gets into accident. This is one area where we have suggested all the operators in through various forums, especially the RWSI through their annual seminars where all the operators participate, to take care of this particular CFIT. Now, coming to the actions taken by the government and the actions which are in line for the government to improve the helicopter safety is, first is helicopter infrastructure. As you have mentioned, so we have said that the helicopter can land in a very good helipad, like for example, if you create a proper helipad where you have a basic windsock and basic meteorological information available to him, and police for giving the security, so this helipad can be utilized as a multi-purpose. So this has been taken up with the ministry, and ministry is going to have these kind of helipads. Maybe we are spending about 10 crore for each of the helipads, so that the helicopter landing will become safer. Next is coming to the unruly passengers. We had lost 2 helicopters when they went for the disaster relief operations in the hills. The unruly passengers, everybody wants to get away from the floods. Okay, so by seeing the unruly passengers, since there was no police protection available, the helicopter took off immediately and then entered into the hill. So there were 2 helicopters we lost like that. Okay, and similarly, one more helicopter accident which has happened is the passenger went into the tail rotor. This is one accident which was reported in India. So we have proposed that the helipad is to be secured through a separate police, okay, so that the helicopter accidents can be reduced. Next is, we had 2 helicopter occurrences which were reported where the helipad preparation was not okay, especially during the election season. The helipad is ready, but it was not watered on the previous day, and the helicopters went into dust ball. So this is where the state governments have to take care, so that the helipads are safe for landing. And the latest danger which has come up is a lot of people, as he mentioned, helicopter is a very important machine during the election campaign. It will attract a lot of crowds. Okay, at the same time, people started flying drones around the helicopter flying path. Okay, so they're very cheap because people are interested to take their photography. Okay, so these are all things which again it gets into the local police domain. They have to take care of those things. And the most important, the highway in the sky, point in space is being considered, and we had a first meeting with the DGCA. Once that comes up, the availability of slots for helicopters will increase, and we learn from whatever the international bodies are doing outside. So the similar practices will be followed, so the helicopter landings will become easier, cheaper, and quicker.
Thank you. That's very reassuring. So learning from our mistakes, from our earlier accidents, is very important. So after the 243 inquiries, they have done almost 220. So we definitely get a lot to learn from them. Now, after the bad part of it, that is the aviation industry, why it's not growing, why things are not looking very looking bleak. We look at a very new opening up in the segment where there is a lot of buzz over building of aircrafts in India, starting off making India as a manufacturing base. So Airbus and HAL are the pioneers in us. They are the world leaders. Airbus is, of course, all over the world, and HAL has now started making its presence in various sectors. Let me start with Airbus India, Airbus helicopters. What are their plans? They have come out with new agreements signed, and something is to be signed in this aviation show also. So let us hear from Sanjay. What is the plan? What are the plans of Airbus helicopters in the helicopter sector? I'm not looking at the other fixed wing segment. Please tell us what are the plans which you have for making India Atmanirbhar in helicopters.
Well, sir, thank you very much. Good morning to all of you. So, sir, first I would like to say that, the way Airbus helicopters is looking at India is very strategic. Now, we heard there are around 250, 260 civil and parapublic helicopters in the country, and I'm very proud to say that almost 50% of them are Airbus helicopters. Okay. Now, but if you look at the absolute number, I mean, we've got about 130 helicopters flying in India, and we also cover the region from India, Nepal, Bhutan primarily. And we've got around 50 helicopters in the neighboring countries. Okay. So for us, India between these countries is the major market. Now, but these 130 helicopters, I'm very humble when I say, it's 50. We've got 50% share of the market, because these 130 helicopters represent less than 1% of Airbus helicopters' global fleet. Okay, so 99% of our fleet is outside of India, even though we are the market leaders here. But despite that, sir, I mean, and notwithstanding all the challenges that we've just heard, we believe in India. Okay, and I will explain to you. We see it not just as a market, but as a partner. Okay, so our endeavor, and I say this wherever I get a chance to speak, our objective is not to say, oh, we want to have 90% share of this small market. We want to work with the different stakeholders, with the Ministry of Civil Aviation, DGCA, local industry, to grow the overall size of the helicopter market in India. And of course, we will, thanks to our products, we will get a fair share of it. But the idea is, the way we look at it is, how can Airbus partner with all these stakeholders and say, well, let's have 1,000 helicopters by the end of this decade. So that's our objective, sir. And you spoke about the FAL. Of course, that's the crown jewel of what we are doing in India. There are many challenges. Some of those we cannot address, some we can support. But the one thing that we can do is that we can give this country a locally produced helicopter, a made in India helicopter.
Now No, it's assembled. Now it is assembled.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have the final assembly line that we announced in 2024. Okay, the FAL is built. Very soon you will hear additional news about it. And the objective is that the first H125 assembled in India will fly by the end of this year, sir. In Bangalore. The location of the FAL is already announced. The FAL is in Bangalore. Okay, so that's, from our side, that is the stamp of confidence that we have in this market. There is no military order, underpinning that. We are setting up this FAL purely because we believe that the market will be there to take deliveries from this FAL. Okay. Now, it's not just about the FAL. Some people may say, well, it's just assembly. But I don't know if everybody here is aware, we have also signed up with Mahindra Aerostructures to manufacture the fuselage of the H125 and the H130 in India. Now, every H125 and H130 that we will deliver anywhere in the world, and we deliver almost 200 of those every year across the world, okay, will have its main fuselage made in India. So even upstream, above the FAL, we are basically onboarding Indian suppliers in our helicopter value chain, because there is competence, there is talent, there is capacity in this country. So that goes to show, again, I mean, it's not just about selling. We could just say, okay, let's focus on selling and forget about the rest. No, it's about creating that ecosystem. And in fact, sir, I would like to say, we have the largest team on the ground in India. Airbus Helicopters team in India is now the biggest team compared to any other OEM. Again, another proof of confidence in the market. On top of this, support, training. So we have tied up with local MROs. Indamar is one of our partners and the authorized service center for a big part of our portfolio. So we're also focusing on that. And in fact, since all of us are at Wings India, I would heartily welcome you to our stand, because for the first time at Wings India, we've brought a simulator, a helicopter simulator for display. Because our intention is actually to even establish with a partner the H125 simulator in India. So you can see, I mean, I'm not talking too much about the market and the sales, even though we are the market leader. I'm talking more about us as Airbus setting up the full ecosystem, manufacturing, supporting, training, which will also enhance safety, and of course then being close to our customers, because that is most important for us.
Can you, because two more.
So, I mean, I think that is our contribution, and beyond that, financing is something that was touched about. We are not a financier, but as an OEM, we do work with banks, and we had a tie-up with SIDBI, the Small Industry Development Bank of India. We are looking at other financing partners so that, again, we can provide solutions to our operators, because we want to be in this journey with them to bring our helicopter market from 250 that it is today to 1,000 by the end of this decade. That's how we see our role. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sunny. It's a very, very optimistic note, I would say. We hope that 1,000 helicopters will be flying in India by the end of maybe 2020. We have another very important manufacturer, HAL, with us, who have actually building a lot of planes in the defense sector, but now moving to the civil sector. The first certificate was given for the Shakti engine in December, I believe.
Yes.
So please.
So good morning to all. So very happy to be here in this panel discussion. As we all know, HAL primarily has been very strong in the military sector when it comes to the manufacture of helicopters, right? Since the days of licensed manufacturing of Chetaks, and now we have come a long way from the ALH. Initially, we had these conventional cockpits. Now we have upgraded our products. The ALH, now we call it as a Dhruv NG, which has been launched recently, and flight testing has just commenced. So here our main focus has been to improve on the... So the main focus has been to improve on the technology right now that we have. So where we had the conventional cockpits earlier for the earlier civil models, which were there from 2003, now we have moved on to the glass cockpit, which is civil TSO certified, and it has all the latest safety features, because I was just hearing about the various risk factors when helicopter operators they face, like CFIT, as Yugandhar sir was mentioning. So we have now the advanced glass cockpits which have synthetic vision systems, so which can actually map the terrain. Let us say you have a degraded visual environment. So Now the pilot will be more clued in as to, how to avoid the obstacles and all that. So we are taking those steps to develop the products which are much more safe for the pilots and the operators to operate. So this is our
Have you
main
got
thing.
any outside markets or your Indian markets, or are you selling any civil aircraft outside?
At present, of course, we are focusing on the market
side.
like with our local operators. And then later, as we gain the sales here, obviously, the intention would be to go look outside as well. So that is the thing. And yeah, so we have a very versatile product right now, which can be configured in various seating options, like 9-seaters, 14-seaters, 12-seaters, and all that. So based on the customer's demand, we'll be able to offer. And we also have plans to get into the single engine, the light utility helicopter. So that also we'd like to get
Thanks,
into the 5-seaters.
thanks, Muralidhar Raji.
So,
So
that's from the HAL side. I would have loved
You
to
are,
speak
you
a
are
little
hearing
more,
from
but I
the
think
chief designer
So,
from
yes,
the HL.
okay.
So he is assuring the safety of the helicopters built in HL. Thanks a lot. Very reassuring that our Atmanirbhar Bharat also will grow up. Now, coming back to the operators again, we have Mr. Rohit Mathur of CEO of Heritage Aviation. Let us hear from him what exactly has he picked up from this thing, and what is his viewpoint on the future of Indian helicopter operations.
Thank you so much, sir. Good morning to all. So, the previous speakers have already discussed the challenges and problems faced by the industry, so I'm not going to share those challenges. I would like to just, a lot of people these days keep talking in, firstly, I would say that I've been part of conferences, seminars on helicopter industry for a very long time now. And I always used to say that out of entire aviation family, helicopter is the poorest cousin. We don't get enough attention. So I'm very grateful to Ministry of Civil Aviation and FICCI for keeping a special helicopter session in Wings India for the first time. And now I must as an operator say that we are getting the attention that we deserve, both from the ministry, from the regulator. I mean, regulator has been very, very supportive in the last couple of years. The helicopter directorate has really been very, very helpful. It should have been done much earlier, but even the industry is very grateful to the government for making a separate helicopter directorate. Now coming to, I will just take few minutes to dwell upon the growth part, which is being talked about a lot. That last year 30 helicopters have come in, it should go to 50, next year 100. So, well, you see the market is growing, no doubt. The demand is growing. There are very strong tailwinds in the sector, both from the government policy perspective and both from the demand perspective. So that is always there. But you see, it is not so easy to, suddenly buy a helicopter or generate business, and then, that business has to be sustainable also. So if 50 helicopters or 100 helicopters come in, say next year, last year it was 30, say again 40 helicopters come in, next year again 50 helicopters come in, where will they go? What business are they going to do? Number one. Number two, we have all witnessed discussion on accidents just now. You see, before making a decision to buy a helicopter, we also have to invest in safety. As an operator, we have also faced accidents, and we have suffered because of that. Now, if we just continue the growth without making adequate investment in safety and making the operations more sustainable, it is not going to help us. You see, every operator, as a member of the industry, I would like to call upon the entire industry to, before expanding, please invest more in safety, because one accident spoils the entire, affects the entire industry. So for everybody in the industry, it is very important that we invest in safety. And once we invest in safety, we also have to see that the businesses that we are doing, should not be done at very shoestring budgets. Every government department that comes up with a tender wants the operator to operate at a cost which is lower than the previous year's cost. So I will just give you an example. The Indian Army has come up with a big contract for winter communication sorties, air maintenance sorties. Last year they hired 2 helicopters. This year they've hired 7-8 helicopters. The rates have gone down 30% from last year. And the head of the Army Procurement Unit in the pre-bid meeting told us that, look, treat it as a service to the nation. Don't hire too much, don't quote too much prices. Now, you see, everything is a cost. Euro has gone up 24% in last 1 year. In March 2025, it was 89 rupees. Today, it is 110. So the costs are very high. If the operator does not make money, he will cut corners. He will save, money to, to survive, and that will affect safety. So I am just wanting to say that growth will happen because that is a natural process. But as an operator, as member of the industry, we must see that the growth which is happening has to be sustainable. The business that we are doing should give you enough profit so that you, take care of your safety.
Thanks, Rohit.
Right.
Very, very interesting point, because one of the problems which we used to face was the pressure of the operate owners on the pilots to operate in very bad conditions. If you remember, 2012, I think there was a circular issued by the DGCA for the pilots to refuse to fly if the safety is not there. So that was done. But then, as you rightly mentioned, operators also should see that they don't squeeze people or the pilots to fly to get leading in bad accidents. Now, we have Mr. Siddharth Shankaran, CEO of the Trans Bharat Aviation. Okay, 3 minutes for you to.
I know, sir, it's just 3 minutes for me, but I'll start. When we speak about expanding the reach and capability of helicopter operations in India, we are not talking about the future possibility, we are discussing the present necessity. For too long, since all the jury members have spoken about, it has been only viewed through a narrow lens, considering VIP movement, niche industry group flying, shuttle flying. But when you compare it with global requirements, they are being treated as critical infrastructure, extension of public services, rapid response system, and economic enablers. A helicopter needs a landing site measured in tens of kilometers, or meters maybe, but a fixed wing needs a runway which is in kilometers. That single difference changes how a nation connects district, reaches communities, and responds to emergency. One more critical aspect, what we feel, in India, helicopters are not a luxury asset. They are the easiest and fastest way to turn geography from a constraint into an advantage, which we don't do. Now, while we were speaking about inducting more and more helicopters in India, the only thing that I feel that we have not scaled the ecosystem. Like, for a helicopter operation, it is only as strong as its weakest link. Helipad, fuel logistic, crew training, maintenance depth, weather intelligence, slot management, local administration. If any of these elements fails, the aircraft will not fly. Now, what is the silent killer that we as aviation operators are facing today? That's MRO. I'll tell you how. All the aircrafts that you have, the OEMs have this monopoly of sending the components outside. Now, how will an operator scale sustainably if all the critical components must routinely travel overseas and turnaround times remain uncertain? So that is the area where I feel that we should work upon, and we should try and find, not just make in India, why not repair in India itself also?
Yes, yes.
Why not to train our crew also in India? I mean, why can't we have those infrastructure built up in India? I think if we do all these things in India, we can progress this helicopter, expansion plan. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shankaran. One very important point you mentioned, which is about the MRO operations. The MRO operation is a billion-dollar industry with so many aircrafts. India is sitting on a gold mine, but somehow finance ministry and the other many part of the government of India are not able to meet see that part. So I used to remember, I remember telling people that this is a goose which lay golden eggs, but let it mature. Uske baad hi wo anda denge. If you start killing it when you are 1 year old, it will not give you an anda. So this is a fact which is a very important factor which is affecting the aviation industry, is the MRO part. And another one, Mr. Rohit mentioned about the dollar domination of Indian industries. All aviation parts are dollar denominated, so when the Indian currency devaluates, the cost goes up. And all the users demand lower cost. This is a big problem. Ecosystem, finally, we found is the culprit. So we have to improve our ecosystem. All of us work together, Ministry of Civil Aviation, regulator, DGCA, Airport Authority, the security system, and the operators. We'll have to work together. And I'm sure that, as Rohit was mentioning, the helicopters are getting prominence. We will try to make the ecosystem function. If there's a pressure from the public, from all the operators, probably they also will start functioning. Things are started looking up. Probably, as Sunny was telling, we may have 1,000 helicopters in the Indian skies by 2030. A very wonderful discussion. We covered a lot of points in this discussion today, and we kept the time. It's 1 hour, 3 minutes. We had been given only 1 hour, so 3 minutes we exceeded the time. But thanks for all the panelists for keeping up the time and coming out with very valid, good points. Thanks a lot.